Hello, Excel academicians. Welcome back to our video. Once again, we are still on lookup as part of our spreadsheet content. In the previous video, we looked at the index and match function. The index and match function is not part of the Cambridge ICT 0417 IGCSE syllabus. However, the XLOOKUP is supposed to be part of the Cambridge IGCSE IT syllabus and the 9626, that is the A-level IT syllabus. So if we are in IGCSE, this video will also be very essential for you as you look at how XLOOKUP can be used. And you can see in my caption, I have identified this XLOOKUP as an X factor in lookups. Just like our X-Men in X movies, XLOOKUP is the X in lookup functions. Okay, so let's get into it. Explore the syntax and parameters required to complete the XLOOKUP function. In this our tutorial, evaluate the use of the XLOOKUP function, VLOOKUP, and the index and match. So we are going to look at a problem where we shall apply the XLOOKUP, we shall apply the VLOOKUP, and we shall apply the index and match. If you have not watched the video on index and match, I will entreat you to go and look at it so you understand the syntax of how it is used before we get into this video. Good. XLOOKUP. I have said that it is extraordinary in nature. It improves the efficiency of all the lookup functions discussed earlier. H, V, lookup itself, index and match. Yes, those are some of the functions that we have looked at so far. It is clean and can be used in all situations where the other lookups fall short. It searches a range of an array and then returns the item corresponding to the first match it finds. If no match exists, then XLOOKUP can return the closest approximate match, and we shall look at that. Let's look at the parameters of the XLOOKUP. The parameters required to complete the XLOOKUP are as follows. The lookup value, a required parameter that has a value to search for in the array. Lookup array, an array or range to search for our lookup value. Okay, the first is the lookup value, the next is our array. Return array, the array or range we want returned or output from our formula. If not found, this is an optional parameter that self-handles errors. So instead of leaving your XLOOKUP to show as an error, you can use an error handling feature in the XLOOKUP itself. And none of the lookup functions that we have explored has that. To use an error handling function, you may need to use an error handling function different from the lookup function itself. But in XLOOKUP, it can do so by itself. The match mode has the following values. 0 for the exact match, -1 for exact match or the next smaller number or item, 1 for exact match or next bigger value, and 2, which is used for wildcard search. And then we have the search mode. This is equally optional, and I've indicated that in previous videos. If there is a square bracket on the parameter, it means that at that particular moment, that particular parameter can be ignored, but it depends on what you are looking for. So 1 for first to last, this is the default value, -1 from last to first, and binary search when it is sorted, and binary search when it is sorted in descending order. So let's look at a scenario. We have this setup. Once again, I got this file from wiseowl.co.uk. In this setup, we have seen a data in here as particular columns, color, category, soil, and price. And we want to use the XLOOKUP. After this, we shall also use the same scenario by using a different function. So XLOOKUP. I've explained the syntax already, so let's look in here. For the first time, I am going to show you the parameters and their values as I use a function in here. So XLOOKUP is broom, and my lookup array, I'll get it from here, right? Now, what my return array, it says what color that I'm looking for, so I can get that from this side quickly. Okay, so this is how, if not found, just input a test. Plant, I think they entered that value, plant not found. Okay, and our match type is exact. The other parameter we don't need to use, so we can leave and close. We shall use it in another scenario. Enter. So we have yellow in there. Let's assume that a user entered in something wrong and that could not be found in our lookup values. It gives us the output that we defined, plant not found specifically. Okay, so we go back to the correct input. Okay, so I'll do same for this XLOOKUP. This is my lookup value. This is where I'll get that lookup value that I have selected. My return array this time around is a price, so I select price. And if it is not found, I say plant not found. Comma, also exact match. We don't need the other parameter and we can move on. So we have seen how the XLOOKUP is working nicely over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the last parameter down there, which is a search mode, is a fifth parameter in the XLOOKUP. And you can see that this function is apparently or has more functions than the other, more parameters than the other functions that we have seen. One other thing that the XLOOKUP can also do that other lookup functions cannot do is to return an array. Index and match can do that, and we shall explore it in when we are using index and match to achieve the same result. So let's look at it. Equal to XLOOKUP. This is our lookup value, and we'll get our lookup value from this array. And we want to return the color, category, blah, blah, blah. So, comma, my return array is the entire of this. What this thing does is very simple. It looks at the lookup value. It gets it. Now, if you in our previous examples, we selected only one column, right? So it will return the value from that column that matches our lookup value. In here, however, I have selected multiple columns. If we're looking up into a lookup value that was in a column, here it is in a row. That was in a column, and we also selected the column down here. It will also return it across, because when it finds, for example, color, it will return every color in this column. So that is also one way that this function can be used. If not found, let's put that error there again. Plant not found. Good. Our lookup match is exact. And if we should close it, you will see it return by default. You can see when I click over here, my function pops up in my formula bar. However, it is grayed out and it is actually starting from here. This is vividly what is showing. The others are grayed out because They are dependent on this. There could, however, be a problem in this situation. Assuming, the colors are not constant, as in these are not, you see, up here, they are following the right order, right? It is color, category, soil, blah, blah, blah. So when you use the array, it shows exactly in that order as we have over here. But what if the array are not in the same order as we have in our table? Then in that case, we cannot depend on just our output. We may have to call the color um, and reference it in our lookup. So let's look at how this one will show. So that is XLOOKUP. Our lookup value is this. Lookup array is here. Okay. Now, my return array, I say I don't know where my array will come from. However, I would want you to use the XLOOKUP once again to go and find this value in this instance. Okay. And select everything. And because this will be looking exactly as just one value, whatever it sees in the array it returns, it will just match it with that value. So it will go in that particular array here where it finds the H1, and then whatever it matches, it will pop it up. So you can see this can also be used just like the VLOOKUP that we have explored. So let's do plant not found. Exact match over here. So this is closed, and our other lookup is equally. Let's leave it blank. That is also exact. So we have the same value as we have over here. The only problem is that we may have to lock up some cells so that when we duplicate, it gives us the same value. So in this particular case, G12 is supposed to remain constant. So F for our magic, our array is supposed to remain constant. H1 is not supposed to remain constant. What is supposed to remain constant is the row and not the column. As we duplicate, the column should change, but the row should remain constant. So you know what to do. F4, F4. Yes, so the column should not remain constant. The row should remain constant. Other than that, this one should also remain constant. F4 again. This one will also remain constant. F4. So the only thing that will be changing is our H11, where we want to look at whether it is color, whether it is category, blah, blah, blah. So this time around, we can now duplicate our function effectively, and we should have the same output as we have initially. Good. So the XLOOKUP, as you see over here, we have seen how it can return an array, but we have seen that this can be inefficient. So to solve that, we can also use the same XLOOKUP in the XLOOKUP just to look at the column where our array is. This is just like using the index and match function, isn't it? But here, the other functions that we have explored cannot complete this. So equal to XLOOKUP, our lookup value is here. For this, I will intentionally call my function inspector. My lookup value is this, but you can see we can't get lip from here. So here it says wildcard searching. What do we do? How do we do it? We do star, and I'm sure you know what wildcard searching is. Sorry. And this is also a test function called concatenate. You can use the and for concatenation. So I close this. Star close. So you see it returns lip, and our lookup array is here. We are looking for it in the plant. Our return array. Here I'm going to do the array returns. If not found, plant not found. Here, however, our match mode should be 2, representing wildcard search. It's not specifically going to look at lip because lip is not in our array. But it says that anytime you get lip, try to see whether you can do a wildcard search in it to find something that contains lip. And we've seen this, and I'm sure you've seen that in your database questions and all of that. And now it can return, and you see it's returning red, flower, neutral, blah, 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 just so that it gets in there nicely. Sorry, my array is rather supposed to be from, my return array is supposed to start from A, not from color. It's supposed to start from the plant itself. So yeah, so it returns everything nicely. Once again, I have explained up here that this might not be efficient in terms of the fact that you may need to, the order of the columns as they show over here may not be the same as we have up here. So in that case, you may have to use a different way of extracting the column number from the original data. Okay, here it says that a first plant of this type, and in this case, we are going to use the other parameter. So XLOOKUP, our lookup value is acidic. So I've explained to you how in my previous video, the index and match video, how we cannot pick values from the left of our lookup values when we are using VLOOKUP. Index and match can do that, but VLOOKUP cannot do that. Here we can, because you see, acidic is here, that is under soil type. However, we are picking values, that is the plant, which is on the left of our soil type. We can use VLOOKUP for this purpose. Our lookup array, we'll get it from here. And our return array is clearly from this side. If not found, let's leave it blank at the moment. Exact match. But it says that what do we want to do? It says we want to return the first plant that is acidic. So you see, first to last. So it will search from the top to the bottom. And we are returning the plant anyway. So we use 1. Even though that is the default value, we can specify, enter, and then we get the exact plant, Acel pipurum. Those of you doing biology, forgive me if I got it wrong. Let's do same for this. Still our lookup value, still our lookup array. I could have easily, this is our return array, but this time around, let's leave this blank. Exact match. This time around, I'm doing it from last to first. So I want to look at the plant from the bottom that has acidic as its soil type, and that the value should be -1. Close and enter. And that is Rosa. Let's look at it. The first plant from the bottom that is acidic is Rosa. And I get this nicely done. Let's look at how we can use index and match. And let's see how index and match will fight with this. So Control C and then paste. So I'm using basic. Instead of XLOOKUP, I use index and match. Okay, clear this, delete. What happened over here? Good. So my first is index. My array where I want it returned is in color, right? So you see, for index, I can also select just one item. And my column index, my row index number first is match of this in this, comma. My match type is exact. So I'm done with my match. For my column number, my table has only one column. That is where I want my output from is only one column. So that is what I specify in here. Close. And then we have the same value as we have over here. Okay. Equal to index, same. Our outcome this time around, how much does it cost? So that is price, comma, match from here, comma, 0, close. And then it is also column 1 because we have only one portion where we want our output to be. We have the same value as this. Okay, let's go to the next one and let's see how we can use that. Using an array is possible with index. So equal to index. Our array is starting from color, right? So our output should be from here. Then our row index number, again, match, broom. In this array, comma, exact match, close. Where are you, my friend? And then our column index number. Because we are returning an array and we are not specific to which column to be returned, we can say 0. And it will also do the same thing as we have here. So yellow, tree, alkaline, blah, 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 and it shows us. Again, there is a way we can use to solve when the columns are not following that order. So far, individual, just selecting one column checked for both index, XLOOKUP, index, and match. We have seen index and match can also return an array if the column is 0, but I'm not sure index and match can return a column because you see in the index and match function, the row number is needs to be specified as compared to the column number, which is optional. Okay, good. So let's look at this. This one is a wildcard search equal to index. What am I looking for? So this is the output, right? It will start from the plant and my row number, go down quickly. My row number, I get my match function. You see, lip, we can't use that. Let's try. So we are looking for lip in here and comma. We have only less than, exact, or greater than. Let's try it. -1 for greater than. Let's see. It's looking for the next value. If we return 0, 0 should give us what's it called? 0 should give us the array. There is something that we can do, and I'll show you shortly. So let me return 0 in this case. Enter. And the problem, let's go to our function, the function inspector. Our problem is from the match. It cannot look for a wildcard search in the data. So for wildcard search, our index and match function is lacking. However, if we want to really do that, then we may have to use the XLOOKUP to do the wildcard search for us. Hello. So we can use the index function. Again, star and where is the value? And star again. And then our lookup array is from here. Our return array is from here. So when it looks into this, if not found, let's do a match mode of 2. Sorry. So 2 to represent wildcard search. Make sure this one is okay. Lip, flat. Okay, where's my output? Lookup array. Oh. Good. Okay. What's happening? My lookup array is here. Good. So this time around, and that's the same place as my return array. It returns my tulip. So when we go into our index function, the row index number, all of this, because this is returning a value, let's go back to the XLOOKUP. It returns tulip, right? Now we'll use a match on this. So that yes, the whole of this, it returns tulip. Good. My lookup array is here. Good. And then the match type is exact. So I needed the XLOOKUP to go and look for the lip for me in that array that contains tulip. Then it will return tulip, and this time around, I can get my value. So if we go back to the index function, the column number, let's return 0 in this case, and we shall also have it sorted just like we have up here. Okay, so we have seen how we can use the index and match in a number of situations, just like the XLOOKUP. Again, look at the function in the same situation. Look at the function that we have used for our index function, and look at the function that we have used for the XLOOKUP function. That is supposed to achieve the same result. So this is where your evaluation should come in on the particular function to use when you are given a problem. You can see over here with the index and match, there are a lot of things that we have to do, including even the fact that we have to use an XLOOKUP inside the match of the index. Very long. But here, clearly, we can just move ahead and our function is much more efficient. There isn't a lot of things that you have to do in here. Again, let me stress that if the columns are not in the same order as you have in your reference table, there is something else that you have to do, like we have explored up here, okay, which is different from what we have seen, where we are only calling the entire array in that order. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video. It's been long. In this video, let's do a very quick recap. We have seen the XLOOKUP function to solve or model problems. We have seen that it has 6 parameters with 3 optional ones, which are equally useful based on what you want to do. The XLOOKUP can search for data from all sides, up, down, bottom, wherever. It has a self-error handling parameter, which is the if not found, and can return an array where the we select the entire array instead of just selecting a column in this situation. And we've seen that to achieve the same result, it provides a much cleaner solution than the VLOOKUP and the index and match. Thank you for watching this video. It's been nice having you. In our next video, we'll actually solve a problem, a question related to what we have just seen in our videos. I'm sure I'll see you again in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video. Share it with your friends and let's keep the movement going. See you. Happy learning.